Guys, we have the density function here, f of x equals to half cosine x for the range between negative half, negative pi over 2, and then pi over 2, okay? 0 otherwise. So we want to find the expectation, which is the same thing as the mean, which formula is there, and then the variance, also formula, which is there. So let's go right at it. So now the expectation, which is the same thing as the mu, okay, represented as that. So that will be equals to what? Following the formula, that will be negative pi over 2 all the way to positive pi over 2. And then that is x times fx, correct? So that is x times. So now because that's a half, we can carry the half already outside, okay? You have to begin to foresee this kind of problem. So you take the half outside. So you make your life a lot easier. And then this is what we have. Now, as we have this, what's going to happen? So we go now, and then how do we solve for this one? We have integration by parts to do, x times cosine x. So we have to determine what is our, u prime, what is our u, what is our v, and then our v prime. So the u prime is, in this case, is going to be cosine x of x, and then the u is going to be sine of x. The v is going to be x, and then the v prime is going to be 1, okay? So then we're going to follow the formula, which is u times v minus u times v prime, okay? So that's the formula for the integration by part. So now how do we choose these, the functions here, because we have two of them here? A lot of times what I do is I go with the v and then find out the function that is easy to get the derivative, for. And that's the one that I choose for my v. And then the next one, which is u prime, okay? I just do it all the time and then it works. So now let's go back over here. So we get then a half times, so now what's going to happen? U times v, which is going to be x times sine of x, okay, minus integral of 1 times the sine of x, so that would be sine of x dx. Okay, so that's what we have. Now we got to find the integral of sine of x, which is negative cosine of x. So it's x is sine of x minus then minus again cosine of x. So no more dx because we're done with that. And then we can take it negative pi over 2, positive pi over 2. Okay? Negative and negative is positive, so we're good on that one. So we come down here, this is a half, and then we're going to substitute now the pi over 2 inside. So it's going to give us what? Pi over 2 times, what is sine of pi over 2? Is 1. So we end up with 1 here, so we don't need to rewrite it. Then this is a plus. So what's cosine pi over 2, which is 0, minus, so now we get to this part here. So this one is negative pi over 2, okay? And then sine of negative pi over 2 is negative 1, and then minus 0 as well. Okay? So we end up with a half, then pi over 2. So when we multiply these two, that will give us what? Positive pi over 2, correct? And then the negative, we make it negative pi over 2. So what happens? This is a half times a 0, because these two, 0, so you end up with 0 for the mean. Okay? Now let's go for the variance. So the variance that I put as the sigma square, we all know that by now. So we're going to follow the formula there. So at this point, this is x minus the mean, so the mean, which is 0. So that is a square there. So what's going to happen? So it's x squared. So it's negative pi over 2 all the way to positive pi over 2. And then that would be x squared, all right, times, so half times cosine x. So the half again, we put it outside, and then we have cosine of x dx. So this is what we're going to deal with, all right? At this point, we're dealing with a problem where we have to find, again, the integration by part. So let's go at it. So integration by parts also over here. So which one is going to be our u prime over here? So we can just follow the same thing here. So our u prime is going to be cosine x of x, and then the u is going to be our sine of x. And then the v, in this case, is going to be our x squared, and then the v prime is going to be 2x. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are we with me? Okay, so now, again, u times v minus integral of u times v prime. So let's go at it. So u times v is going to give us x squared times sine of x, okay, minus twice, so the 2 is coming outside, x sine of x, then dx, okay? So that's what we have, at this point. So now again, we have something here that we're still going to use. The third time, we're going to use integration by part. So let's see how we do that. So I'm going to put it up here, so we don't go out of sight. So here is u prime, again, which is going to be our sine of x. Our u is going to be our now negative cosine of x. Then our v is equal to x. Our v prime, ladies and gentlemen, is 1. Okay? So again, we're going to do u times v. So this is equal to x squared sine of x. So now at this point, let me just tell you something. The half, we just left it out for now, okay? Let me explain that. We left the half out, we're going to use it later on, okay? If not, you're just going to be dragging it. It doesn't look good. So x squared sine of x, okay? And then minus twice. So twice now, negative x cosine of x, okay? And what is happening here? So that'll be minus, okay, the integral of minus cosine of x dx, okay? So everything, so the parenthesis started from here and then closes here. So we have x squared sine of x. So minus 2. So what's happening here? So minus 2. So we have minus 2 here. And then we're multiplying everything else. And also do not forget what's happening to the integral here. What is the integral of cosine x? The integral of cosine x is sine x. So that is sine x. So that will give us what? So that will give us then negative 2, negative and negative. That will give us positive 2x cosine of x. And then this one here, negative, negative also is positive because we're doing minus 2. So that will give us minus 2. And then because this one is sine now, so that gives minus 2 sine of x here. So we end up with this one so far. And now we got to do what to it? We got to find everything with negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2. Okay? So let's go at it. Then we have pi over 2 here. That we're going to square. That will give us what? Pi squared over 4. Are you with me? And then what is sine of 1? Sine of pi over 2, is 1. So just 1 here. Okay? Then plus 2 times x, which is pi over 2. But what's happening here? Cosine pi over 2 is 0. So just 0 there, all across. And then minus, so we have 2 here, times, what is pi over 2 sine of pi over 2? That is also 1. Okay, we good so far? And then minus, now we get to this one here. So we get in pi squared over 4 as well, because x squared, that is negative pi over 2 squared, that will give us pi squared over 4 as well. And then we end up with, so times sine, so sine negative pi over 2 will give us what? Negative 1. So that gives us negative 1, okay, of negative here. And then also the cosine here of negative pi over 2 also will give us 0. So that will make this side also equals to 0, this one here. So that means you're doing it plus a 0 minus twice. The sign of negative pi over 2 again is -1. So that is -1 here. Okay? And then we close it on this one. So we end up with, when you multiply pi squared over 4 times 1, that's pi squared over 4 plus 0. And then this one will give us -2. All right? And then minus, so what's happening here? Pi squared over 4 times -1, which is negative pi squared. Then minus again, that will give us plus pi squared over 4. And then -2 times -1, which is +2. And +2, then the minus also is -2. And now I can bring down the half. See how interesting this problem is? But you have to be very focused. You have to be accurate. Now what's going to happen here? So this one plus that one will give us what? So that's twice pi square over 4. So we can then multiply that by a half. So that will end up giving us pi square over 4. Okay? Because this one is twice. All right? So times a half. So the 2 is out. So we end up with pi square over 4. And then here, -2 and -2 is -4 times, so these two. So -4 times a half is -2. So you end up with -2 here, ladies and gentlemen. So your final answer, if you work this out in the calculator, so you end up with 0.467 at the end. Okay? So you work it out with your calculator, you end up with this one, and then voila, you are good. Okay?